Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition on Dante Must Die difficulty. This is mission 4 of 20, and excuse me, we're going through the campaign as the female protagonists, and we're currently, like I said, without repeating myself too many times, we're on mission 4, and we're going through the game without using items. So some of you may be wondering, is the old rage going to insinuate itself back into this guide as it did before in the Virgil campaign? Am I going to have some sort of an emotional breakdown like I did on the Agnes boss fight with Virgil? Because I was going through some tragedy at that time, but the answer to those questions is I really don't think so, because these characters, especially this one, when you only have one combo, the game has to make it up in some way, and they do that by making her weapons overpowered. So it's not as hard as Virgil is, but that's not to say it doesn't have its challenges. On the Blitz, you want to use the charge shot of the shotgun for the spread and for the damage power that it does. And then when you get this guy without his force field on, yeah, this fight really didn't go too well for me, but I get damaged in these games, and when I see people not getting damaged, I do kind of feel, you know, like I feel inadequate. But the thing is, on this guy, you want to stay as close as you can to him so that you're not just depending on like some of the residual damage. Like if a rocket doesn't hit this guy, if it clips him a little bit, or if it ricochets off some of the geometry, it does deal him damage. But most of the time, if you're too far away from these enemies, despite having the lock-on it misses. And I think it's just, it's not intentional, it's just a failure of the game. Because when you have the lock-on your bullet should go to the enemies, regardless of anything. But that's just not how it works. So over here I'm trying to regain some of the HP that I lost, and some of these are as single session as I could get it, but I do use continues on these games. I don't hold any store. Hey, wait a minute, there's Bix's fucking supper table. Bix's goddamn fucking supper table right there. I forgot about that. When I was playing, I didn't even think to myself, hey, there's Bix's supper table. Let's come over there and have some supper on it, you know? Have a couple of meals. Have a couple of meal fucking deals, you guys. Meal deals? What am I talking about? I'm an idiot. But yeah, there's the infamous big supper table right there. And I want to welcome everybody to the guide, but when I was mentioning that I don't get damaged, or whoa, I definitely get damaged in these games. I'm just not a Godfather dictator, you know. As much as that guy wanted to teach me how to walk the path of no damage, I'm just a player who gets damaged. I don't know about you guys, but especially on one of these guides where it's a beginner's guide to this difficulty, you're gonna take damage. It's just how it is. When I watch that guy play, I just can't imagine how he does it. I'm just like, how do you, like, if I did the same things he did, like, generally speaking, I would still get hit. I don't know how he does it. He's thinking like 5 steps beyond where he's currently at, and I can't really do that. Maybe 1 step beyond it, but anyway. So what did I mention? Is there or is there not double trigger canceling in this game as far as to use it to avoid taking damage? There is, but it's not as lucrative as it is before, because with this devil trigger, once you use it, regardless of how many DT runes you have, it's gone. So you can't, you know, use it here, use it there, you know, use it in a couple of minutes. It takes a long time to regen, even when you're taunting. So yes, you can get out of status effects like getting frozen on the boss fight that's coming up, but if you do that, then like as it's implied, you can't use it anymore to actually damage the boss or anything like that. So, what other tricks do I have for you guys? I don't know. I'll have a lot more strategies when we actually switch characters, because she has a lot more depth to her, Trish does. This character, it's just charge shots from range. It's not that hard. And it's not that fun either. I don't have fun with this weapon. I think it was a mistake to have her use it so slow, like the weapon. I understand they're bringing over the gunslinger aspect from DMC3 and just applying it to this character like as a blanket skill. So I mean, she's a gunfighter, she has the gunslinger skills, so what do you say to that? I mean, just take what it is, I guess. I've always found this part superfluous over here, kind of boring, but we are coming up on that boss, Belial. And should you be worried? I wouldn't say that. It's actually quite nice when his lackeys kind of detain you, because you can deal a lot of damage to the boss's HP bar by killing those guys. Or, well, you never really kill them, do you? But it's kind of funny because the boss calls you a bastard, and obviously a bastard is generally somebody like you would call a man a bastard. You wouldn't call a woman a bastard. I know it's probably a regional thing, but in the United States, it would be weird if you called a woman a bastard. It just wouldn't make sense, and it's actually quite funny. So these enemies here, I would say that it's probably the only enemy that you can fight in this game with her standard combo, because they're equally as slow, pretty passive. And just make sure when you're charging the bayonet gun at range, just keep the camera off them, because the more it's off the enemies in this game, the more you'll pacify everybody. Okay, so oh yeah, also you can, anytime you have a charge with your weapon, you can bring it through cutscenes. So you can keep holding the charge down, and when the cutscene ends, which normally we just skip those, I skip them, you'll still have the charge going. So here are the lackeys at first, and these guys, they dodge the rocket. I'll just call it the rocket launcher for just a lack of a better knowing what it is. But the handguns don't deal too much damage. The rocket launcher, these guys are just too fast and evasive for it to be a reasonable thing to use here. So the spread of the shotgun is great. Charge shot level 3, and whenever these guys are off screen, sometimes well, I shouldn't say that. Whenever they float up and go off the screen, that sometimes means that it's transitioning to the boss. Other times they go up off the screen and then they come down elsewhere. So how do you know? You can't, but you have to assume that the boss is coming, and because if you don't assume that, then he could come and you'll be caught unawares and you'll get damaged and possibly eaten. And to get eaten on this boss fight is horrible. It takes a lot of health off, and if you don't have a DT, you can't cancel out of it. So here he comes, and his weak spot is his tongue, but normally his tongue is in his closed mouth, so you can't hit it. But you'll be dealing him more damage just by shooting him anyway. So when he's at range like this, make sure you're charging your gun up, because even, see, watch this. See, he's gone technically, but I still used the cannon and it took off massive damage from him. So he's always going to go to the other side of the arena, so make sure that you prepare to charge the gun. And normally I would say just let these guys freeze you because it deals no damage to you. However, as you can imagine, you only get one free pass with the DT, and I would recommend just saving that up, because sometimes he'll eat you and you'll need that to get out of his jaws. So this is a character that just has a lot of range going for her. I mean, Virgil had range with his Judgment Cut End, Perfect Slice, something with those terms in it. I don't know what it was. See how they did that? They went off screen, floated up, and then they came back down, so they weren't quite finished yet. So you just need to be running around, charging the gun, using the shotgun. Just keep the shotgun on, I would say. Keep the shotgun on until he jumps away and starts to disappear, at which point you make sure you charge the gun up to as high levels as you can. And sometimes you will miss. It's just how it works with this game. So my best advice is to keep the lock on, and this goes for any enemy. Keep the lock on. I got eaten right there, son of a fucking bitch. Keep the lock on, and there I'm hitting his tongue a little bit to deal some damage. How many times do I have to say this? Keep the lock on and face in the direction of the enemy as precisely as you can. That seems to work, but even when you have those two things going for you, you've got the lock on and you're facing the enemy. Sometimes it still misses, even if you're right in their face. It's just really weird. So just remember that when he turns red and goes into his DT form, he's not going to be leaving the arena anymore, and you need to be evading. And hopefully you can do a little bit better of a job than I did trying to evade him. But I'm just going out for a win, you know, going out for the win. No items. If I take damage, that's fine. This is the game where you get dealt damage, in my opinion. I mean, unless you're a pro, but I'm not. So take care.